Now I can, yes.
Okay, sorry. Uh, I hope you're doing well up there. I know you kind of been through this before with your team. It just described the evacuation and, when you have pets and wives and there's a lot of concern. This hurricane is a little bigger and more towards our area. Just what was the process been like?
I mean, I think overall everything went smoothly. We got the team out, we got their families out, we got their pets out, and everything else. And family's the most important thing right now. You can replace material things, and you want everybody to be okay, and you hope everybody evacuated, if not hunkered down safely. But the family's the most important thing. If you can get your family out and keep them safe, everything else can be replaced.
There's still a distraction with that. I mean, how are they able to concentrate on the task at hand?
Well, the task at hand, most of them have their families here with them, so that's a big relief for them, and they're able to focus on football. We understand that and the things that we do in football is a small mechanism in the game of life and how this hurricane is going to affect people, but we are focused and we're trying to get ready for a game, and everybody's here and their families here. That makes it a lot easier.
Thanks, Coach.
We'll go to Greg Almond. If media have questions, please raise your hand.
Todd, if you can just take us through the process, the logistics of deciding where to go, when to leave for New Orleans. You don't have to share a lot of details in terms of where you are, but just what the setup is and how you make the most of what's obviously a tricky and difficult situation in the next couple of days.
Well, we get to practice at Tulane. It started coming about like Friday and Saturday when it was really trying to hit us, and a lot of phone calls, a lot of work. We were torn between New Orleans and Houston, but rather than get on another plane at the end of the week and go from Houston to New Orleans, it was easier for us to get here to New Orleans, and we practice at Tulane, and we have our meetings, trying to keep everything like a normal Wednesday as possible. Other than the bus ride, the meeting time and the practice and everything else has been the same. So we're trying to keep that kind of structured, and we know when they go back to the room, a lot of people are going back to a room with families in it, and it's a little smaller, and they won't have the concentration part. So we're trying to get as much done as possible while we're in the meeting rooms.
Todd, of the injured players, obviously some of those guys are in concussion protocol. Did everyone travel with the team? Do you have everybody in play to potentially practice this week and return and play on Sunday as it is?
Yes, we brought everybody here on the trip with us, and everybody's getting their normal treatment, and we have certain guys that'll come back that'll be tracking the play.
What can you tell us? I know we'll get an injury report shortly here, but just what the progress is like, what you have available today that opens the window for guys coming back and potentially playing against the Saints.
Well, Kalijah was full today, so that was encouraging. Winfield was limited. We'll see a little bit more. And Luke did some things today, so we'll see how they respond to practicing today, and we'll see how the week goes. But they did do some work today.
Okay, thanks, Todd. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Jenna Lane.
Good to see you, Coach. Glad that you're doing well. This isn't the first time that you guys have had to evacuate. You went to Miami in 2022, and then it's my understanding that some people did evacuate this past week. What were you able to learn from those experiences that you can potentially apply to this one?
Well, the evacuation part was easier this time around because Miami time, half drove and half flew, and that made for a long trip back, and it was a little chaotic, and we really didn't know what to expect, and keeping everybody in the hotel in the same place. Learning from that, we're a little more organized as far as when we meet, how we meet, when the families eat, how they eat, and putting everybody kind of keeping it normal, like a normal practice, but yet still having time to see their family at the same time. So it was a little, I don't want to say easier, but a little more structured this time around.
And you said that Luke did do some things today. Is he still in the concussion protocol then?
Yes, he's still in the protocol. He's got to pass some tests.
Thank you.
We'll go to Sarah Walsh.
Hey, Coach. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I was just wondering, can you speak to the fact that obviously, as the head coach, you've got to be focused on New Orleans as much as you can, but just the folks behind the scenes that maybe we don't even know that have undertaken like a huge logistical task to make a difficult situation run as smoothly as possible?
Oh, they've been huge. I mean, Zach Orth and Tim Jarocki have been world stoppers in this whole thing. Tim has been on the phone with hotels in every state trying to make sure not only the team is okay, but the families are okay, and making sure the pets are okay, and getting different travel destinations. And he's been, I don't know if he's been asleep for the past 36 hours or so, or even more so, but he's been a world beater. Zach's been a world beater, and there's a lot of other people that work with them that have been unbelievable and phenomenal in getting us everything, not just situated, but practicing the normal way and getting meals for everybody's family and understanding what's at hand. And they make it look seamlessly and effortlessly, and they don't get mentioned, but they're really the kings of this whole thing.
We'll go to Evan Winter.
Hey, Coach, glad to hear everything's going well. Shifting to football talk, without giving too much away, obviously, what kind of differences are you noticing between Clint Kubiak's offense and Pete Carmichael's from last year?
I don't know if it's different any. I think they're feeding Kamara a lot more. He was getting the ball a lot in the past, but they're feeding him a lot more and really featuring their speed wide receivers down the field. So it's similar because of the guys, but it's different in scheme.
And speaking of speed, Rashid Shaheed, not trying to rhyme a bunch of words at once, but what all goes into just game planning? Again, without giving too much away, what goes into game planning for a guy like that?
I mean, he's tough. Everybody's faced, he's gotten over the top of. We got to be very careful, and we got to read our keys, but we can't be scared to play him. At the same time, he's a very talented receiver. They got one on the other side as well, and Olave. So Dean and Zion got their work cut out for him.
We'll go to Rick Stroud.
Coach, with Derek Carr's situation, you may face another young quarterback, a rookie quarterback. What do you know about potentially these two guys, and Spentler Rattler and Jake Hayner, and you're 1-1 so far. Is there anything in particular about not having played a guy before that makes it particularly difficult or maybe easy if he hasn't been out there?
Probably difficult because of the unknown. I mean, we watched the preseason tape and we've seen them coming out. We did our due diligence when they're coming out of school and everything else. And both can get rid of the football. Both can use their legs when they need to. And both are very accurate on the deep ball, and they have deep ball receivers. So we don't expect much to change from an offensive standpoint that way.
And then you mentioned, defensively, like with Alvin Kamara, he's obviously a really good receiver out of the backfield, given some of the yards you gave up in the middle of the field last week. How do you counter, how do you improve that part of the game?
Well, how we improve it has nothing to do with Kamara. It's us playing the right way and being where we're supposed to be and the communication part of it. So we can get that done. We can limit a lot of that.
Thanks, Coach.
River Wells.
Hi, Coach. Can you hear me?
Now I can, yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, so there's a lot going on this week. You have obviously the preparations for Milton, but going into another NFC South game here, and especially with what happened last week, how do you balance kind of the urgency to pick up these NFC South games early with all the preparations going on and just having to kind of stay the ship and prepare how you normally prepare?
No, you don't balance it. There's urgency every week, whether it's the NFC South opponent or anybody else. It's the next week, so it's the next game. You balance it because of the travel, and we had to move, and everybody's early, so nobody's in their comfort zone right now. But we understand we have a mature team for the most part with our veterans that's helping the young guys, and we have to focus. And we know that the game is on Sunday as well, and we took care of our families, and that was part of it. So the next part of it is just focusing on next week and getting better at the little things.
Greg Allman.
Hey, Todd, I want to ask you about just the depth at receiver. You got a bunch of guys in a bunch of different situations there. Palmer's coming back from concussion. McMillan had the hamstring. Cam had an ankle. Now Cody Thompson, I should say, is on injured reserve for the practice squad. Just want to ask you, I guess, who you might have of those three that are dealing with injuries and how you'll deal with depth beyond the three you'll have in Evans and Godwin and Shep.
That's yet to be determined right now. It's too early in the week, but we got guys practicing on the practice squad. Obviously, Ryan's practicing. Shep, we already moved up Shepard. We brought back Canoe, so we'll see what the health is toward the end of the week, and then we'll make the adjustments accordingly.
Okay, thanks, Todd.
We have time for a few more. We'll go to JC Allen.
Hey, Coach. Hey, Coach. Along the injury front there, Jordan Whitehead was banged up. Baker obviously banged up. It looks like he's good to go. But was there anyone else who was dealing with some injuries coming out of that Atlanta game that might be kind of limited or dealing with something headed into this game?
I mean, there's quite a few, probably too many to mention as you see the injury report, and I don't want to forget any, so I'll let you guys read it and I'll have a better answer for you tomorrow. But we had quite a few guys banged up.
And then you're already in preparations after this game to face Derek Carr and the Saints. And then it goes, how difficult is that with the move for your staff to kind of pivot? You're moving to New Orleans. Now you're having to kind of prep for one or two guys in the middle of a week when you've probably had a lot of your preparation already done. How difficult was that?
The preparation wasn't difficult because we're playing the Saints offense, not just Derek Carr. And I don't think those guys are going to change whether they play Hayner or whether they play Rattler. I don't think that's going to change. Just seeing how they move and what type of quarterbacks they are is a little different. And us being in different meeting spaces and altering some of the practice times and all of us getting on the bus to go to practice as opposed to just walking outside of our own home. But other than that, it's been pretty normal.
Rod Whopper.
Hey Todd, I know it's still kind of early because we don't know what the storm's going to do yet, but have you all made any contingency plans of like possibly having to stay in New Orleans longer, like, beyond the game for next week?
We're talking about it. We hope we don't have to. We'll see what happens the next couple of days, and then we'll adjust accordingly.
The last question will come from Jenna Lee.
Hey, Coach, I know you mentioned injuries already. We'll be getting an injury report, but I didn't know if Jordan Whitehead was able to practice today, and if so, how he's progressing through his injury.
He was limited. He's still sore, but he did some things today, and he'll progress through the week, and we'll take it day by day.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right, that's all we have. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.